Brewers claiming their third shutout of the season in a 2-0 victory over the Braves tonight. Atlanta was shut out for the 11th time this season, cutting the Braves' lead in the NL East down to 5 games. But the real story were the turnovers. Georgia had 4, and that killed momentum all day. The third round just wrapping up this afternoon. Watson did not finish well, bogeying 3 of the last 6 holes, losing a 3-stroke lead.
Absolutely, it was a rocky start to say the least in the first half, but of course rallying in the second half, scoring 31 points. And from this game, it looks like App State's got some kinks to work out before they hit the FBS next year.
I feel like I should be decked out in all Georgia Southern gear because a big day for Georgia Southern University. They're going to make Willie Fritz the 9th head coach in the modern era.
And big momentum, of course, because their hopes for the SEC East are still alive, but they're going to need a lot of help from Missouri. They have to lose their next 2 games for Georgia to have any shot at the title.
Number 1, Brandon Smith.
Points. Points. And add a couple more points. That was the story all day Saturday as the Dogs beat up on New Mexico State with the final score of 63-16.
One of the things that happened is we ended up having 9 touchdowns and 9 different guys got the score. I thought that was pretty neat.
Pretty neat indeed. And all of this without Georgia's 4 running backs. Isaiah Crowell, Carlton Thomas, Ken Malcolm, and Richard Samuel could only pose for pictures and talk to alumni. But the massive amount of points was not the only thing different about Saturday. Of course, it was homecoming, and that meant the older generation met with the newer generation to celebrate the Bulldog Nation. The alumni band led the crowds in pregame tradition as the older cheerleaders led the young fans in cheers they had never heard. UGA posing for picture after picture with alumni and, of course, their children, and some of the students painted up, even seeming to lose some of their clothes. By the start of the third quarter, the Dogs were leading by 4 scores, and that meant that the crowds started filing out in numbers. But the huge lead didn't affect the spirits of some of the fans. And of course, when the fourth quarter rolled around, the fans that were left kept the tradition strong. And that's the kind of spirit the Dogs are going to need next week to make it 8 straight wins. With one of the top defenses last year, all but one returning starter, and the best linebacker in the nation, the Dogs are pretty confident.
Because we're going to be dominant. We're going to be dedicated to winning. And
dominant. I mean, it's no other goal out there for a defense to be dominant.
We're going to be a tough defense to deal with.
Defensive coordinator Todd Grantham believes the players have a much better understanding of the 3-4 defense now in its 3rd year.
Continuity in our system, year 1, year 2, now year 3, and so those guys have been able to understand. So, I think that it was a positive spring. I think we found out about some guys and what they can do.
And of course, a large part of the front 7 is All-American linebacker Jarvis Jones.
I can't wait, man. We're going to have fun doing it, not to be arrogant or anything, but I definitely think we're gonna step it up another level and just have fun playing, communicate with each other.
He will have help, though. The front 3, including Ivory Jones, Cornelius Washington, and 350-pound John Jenkins, are going to cause nightmares for O-lines.
My focus this spring is to get in better shape. I want to be dominant. Anything I got to do to be dominant, work on my feet, my hand placement, get stronger, faster. Everything I got to do to be dominant. That's my main focus.
With an offense that still has big questions to be answered, fans can rest assured that there are no such questions when it comes to the defense. Well, maybe one. Can this defense be the best in the nation?
Get in the best condition as they possibly can. And everybody's got to stay focused, and everybody's got to, get to the gate. And once everybody's up and running, I think we'll be very stout. But you got to prove it. You got to get there and you got to prove it.
Check out Murray here in the second quarter. All the questions, would he get the record? Here he is, finding Michael Bennett for the TD. With that, he becomes the all-time SEC leader for touchdown passes.
Goals by Patrick Kane. Check it out here in the first. He takes the feed from Johnny Aduya, gets Tuka Raska out of the crease and goes back door for the goal. And remember, he won this championship in 2010.
Now, we started the day strong. Take a look at this. His approach on 2, a nice up and down, putting the ball there with a bite about 2 feet from the hole. Now, they do run the spread offense there, but the coach has run the option, including the Wildcats, so it'd be a good fit for Southern. Back-to-back shutouts for Atlanta. The Braves need to start getting the bats going because they have now had 24 scoreless innings. Vanderbilt next week. We did see Todd Gurley on the sidelines. He looked all right. He's expected to be back in uniform next week, which will be welcome news to the Dogs. From Athens, Ben Williamson, WTOC Sports.